Last but not least is Gracio, and you've made great strides after reading the book, which I'm very happy about. Thing you're struggling with now is playing against regulars and losing them. There's not really a question here, but I want to just kind of pull out what you're asking for, which is essentially that you have this unpleasant itch when you lose to another reg. So the question is why? What is causing it? And I think that's something you got to start asking yourself after it happens, and start actually tracking some of the thoughts that you have, or just try to describe in words what the feeling is. What we're trying to do is always identify the underlying cause of this particular problem. Okay, and it obviously is different losing against a fish versus losing against a regular. And so the more you begin to think about this, the more you're going to start pulling the data kind of out of your subconscious, out of your psyche in a sense, and you'll be able to start to identify it. And then once you've identified it, then the process of actually beginning to fix it works, which you've become very familiar with doing all of your homework with the journal and the mental hand history. So start with that. Now, to give you a little bit of direction here, the first thing I would suspect is, one of two things. When you're battling up against another regular where there's not really clear defined edges, sometimes the uncertainty of not knowing who's better can cause that. Now, if you know that you're better than a given regular, and you've proven that, my guess is that itch may not be there. And if that's true, then it may be something to do with the uncertainty. So it may be kind of low-lying version of fear, right? There's a hesitation or a discord in a sense that is just like a tiny fear, which, as I talk about in the book, is essentially uncertainty. The other way to look at this is as a confidence issue. And again, if you don't know who the player is with the edge, and you may be worried that it may not be you, there may be a loss of confidence in that you lost. Variance was part of it, but you're still not necessarily sure who the better player was, and if it's not you, then that loss of confidence may hit you. Either way, I think you have to start looking at these situations as opportunities. I mean, Phil Galfond is notorious for doing this, and I think it's a great model. Playing against tough regulars is a great way to identify weaknesses in your game and perhaps opportunities for you to be taking your game even farther. And so if you lose and you're not sure why, then get better at understanding variance, right? That goes into confidence. If you can recognize and distinguish variance and know that you lost because you got outplayed, then at least you've taken away a little bit of the guessing game. Now, still, I realize that it's hard to do definitively. But if you can identify excuse me, ways that your opponent is exploiting you, and so there's a skill in understanding your opponent's skill, right? This is all in Chapter 8, as well as a skill in recognizing your own skill. When there is when the edges are that small, I do really understand that it is hard to define, but again, it's a skill. You can get better at identifying your own skill, get better at identifying your opponent's skill, and get better at identifying variance. And if you do that, then there's going to be a little bit more clarity in being able to define edges and have a little bit more understanding about what to do. If you are getting outplayed, work at it. If you lost because of variance, just stick with what you're doing. So hopefully that simplifies things. And again, if not, do the research, and over time you'll begin to get some answers. And if you want to follow up with me, feel free to. So hopefully that all helps, and hopefully all the videos here have helped all of you. Let me know how it goes. As I said, this was all a test, so please give me some feedback, and perhaps I'll see you again. Wish you all well. Bye-bye.